It's the culmination of the spring football season on the campus of the University of North Dakota as head coach Bubba Schweigert and his team take part in practice number 15, the green and white annual spring game here on the campus of the University of North Dakota. Welcome inside the High Performance Center here on campus as UND gets ready to close out their spring football season alongside our Midco Sports Network football analysts Kelly Howe and Ryan Kosowski. I'm your host, Greg Ankers. So much to get to over the next 30 minutes, guys. And Ryan, let's start with where this team finished last season, because so much of the motivational factor, I think, going into 2016 resides in the way 2015 came to a close.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's not a team in the country that wanted to get out here more than North Dakota. And the way they last year finished, getting so close to making those playoffs and not getting in, I think this team wanted to get right back to work and get out here. Very determined football team, very hungry football team after the way last year ended.
Yeah, coming off a 7-4 season, they were certainly qualified for the postseason, were left out. Kelly, there's a lot returning on this team, including 9 of 11 starters coming back on the defensive side of the football. What were the biggest question marks for this group going into spring action?
Well, with what UND wants to do offensively, and that is run the ball, it all starts up front with the offensive line, guys. And losing 3 all-conference guys, Colton Boas, Brandon Anderson, Sean Meehan, you lose those guys, you've got to replace them. They were reliant on them. They were some of the better offensive linemen in the entire league. So it all starts up front there, but I think the pieces are in place. They're there. The pieces need experience is what it takes, and that's reps, whether out here in fall camp. And I think the key are going to be guys like Damon Taylor. You get a guy like him. He's had a great spring from everything we heard. And then the left guard. Damon Taylor be at the right guard, left guard spot. That's going to be the big question mark right now, along with center.
Yep, and right now it looks like Dan Bell may be penciled in, at least for now, on that left guard spot. You guys have each taken part in this spring football before here at the University of North Dakota. What are your memories of that, and how did it help you guys develop as players?
Well, it's vital, especially for the younger guys, the guys that need to get out there, get those number 1 reps. You know, you're not a redshirt anymore. You got to get used to the system, get all those things going for those guys. It's also big for the chemistry too. You start to build those younger kids into the program, get that depth built, and it's huge for everybody.
Well, as the coaches, when they're out here, they're trying to see who can make the play. Who can, the young guys are getting reps. Reps are great, but they want to see that one play where that freshman all of a sudden breaks it and he takes off for the touchdown. Or that defensive back steps in front of it, makes a leaping interception and takes off down the sideline. All right, now what they just saw is the high end. They go, all right, well, this guy can do this. Okay, now we got to get him to be able to do it more and more and more, which is, hey, young guys, it takes time.
Absolutely. We've got plenty more ahead here on our North Dakota Spring Football Special. Head coach Bubba Schweigert will join us later. We've also got defensive coordinator Eric Schmidt and offensive coordinator Paul Rudolph. We'll talk to him next here on Midco Sports Network.
The 2016 UND Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RydellCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. One area North Dakota continues to try to bolster is the wide receiving core. There's already been 2 unexpected departures from this group with plenty of question marks going into the 2016 year, but the group is confident that there will be players available to step up and fill those voids come the fall.
He's like one of them coaches where you don't want to let down, like make sure everything is on point, go up to him, ask questions, make sure everything's right, no mess ups or anything. He's one of them coaches you just really don't want to let down.
Brings a good time for individuals to kind of take a look at yourself and address some weaknesses and really, try to get better as an individual on 1 or 2 things that you can improve upon, and then that kind of makes the whole group better.
I think we had a lot of improvement this spring. Built a lot of depth. We had quite a few young guys in the mix and had some injuries, so they had to step it up.
You need depth. Guys get nicked up. It's kind of been like that in the past. And also in terms of just giving our guys a look in practice, like on scout team, because everybody in our league's pass happy, so you need depth at wide receiver, just not only for our games, for also our scout team.
With Josh going down, that opens up the spot for a lot of guys, and I think a lot of guys showed what they can do.
I feel like everybody stepped up a whole lot from what they did last year. Even the upcoming freshmen, I feel like this year might be a very good year.
We won 7 games last year, and we thought it was enough, but it obviously wasn't. We need to, go out, and our goal is to win the Big Sky and leave no doubt. And we feel like we got the guys to do that. Now it's about putting in the work right now in the winter, in the spring, and then in the summer to put yourself in position to be successful in the fall.
Playing as well we did at the end of the season and not getting a chance in the playoffs, we're definitely hungry for the season to start.
Yeah, I feel like it's a must now. Not just 1-2, it's a must that we have to win the Big Sky and make the playoffs.
We welcome in third-year offensive coordinator Paul Rudolph to the desk now. And Coach, thanks for taking some time to chat with us about the offensive side of things. And it so often starts and ends with the offensive line. You're replacing 3 seniors up front. Talk a little bit about the progress that group has made here throughout spring ball.
Well, you're certainly right there. It does start up front. We're losing 3 good guys. They were good players, played a lot of snaps, and did some good things. But Dan Bell's played well so far through the spring. He's progressed every day. Damon Taylor, he's really progressed through the spring. We have high expectations and high hopes for both those 2 guys. Both Grant and Patrick have been making progress. They're probably not as fast a progress as the 2 guards yet, but they've both made progress. And after a good summer, I think that group's shaping up to be pretty formidable for us.
Coach, I look at that running back spot. I mean, you've got 4 guys that can play and will play, right? I mean, you've got multiple formations, get those guys on the field. Can you talk about, the depth at that position and what that allows you to do?
Well, there's no question that it's the deepest position we have on our football team, and John's definitely a special player, and Brady's obviously just a good, tough north-south guy, but has enough wiggle to get outside and do some things also. So they complement each other very well, but Oscar kind of brings that from what we've seen of him so far. Obviously, we'll see how he does when the lights are on, but from what we've seen, he's kind of a combination of the 2. He's not as fast as John or explosive as Sudden, maybe, a little bigger. Hasn't broke the tackles yet that we saw Brady do, but a good, solid player and really catches the ball well. And then Austin Gordon's he's very good between the tackles. He's just got a knack for a lot of things in between the tackles. So we're going to get some 4 running back sets going and try to get those guys on the field because they all have some ability.
Now, Coach, we transition to your offensive package as a whole. What was the major emphasis, would you say, this winter as you guys typically try to evolve your package, add little wrinkles? What were you guys looking to add, if you can get as specific as you can for us?
The biggest thing we really thought we needed to do is get better in the pass game, and I think it's still a bit of a work in progress. I think we've improved some things. I think mentally we've gotten better in the pass game. I'm not sure that we're where we want to be yet in the pass game. With that being said, we really went out and tried to get better in 11 personnel. We feel like we do things decent in the bigger packages, but whether it's some swing screens, whether it's some jailbreak type screens, and different ways of running the football out of 11 personnel with some unbalanced looks and just forcing people to match up. We just didn't feel like we were real good in 11 personnel, and we've tried to make some additions and to become a little bit more complex in that personnel grouping.
Well, and Coach, certainly as Keaton Studsrud makes his transition from year 2 to year 3, I anticipate we're going to see a much more dynamic offense this year for North Dakota than we have in years past. We thank you so much for your time. We'll let you get back out there with the boys and get back to work, and good luck this season.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, stay with us here on the North Dakota Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network. When we come back, we go to the other side of the football and talk defense.
The 2016 UND Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RydellCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Shifting gears to the defensive side of the football now, and no position group gets taxed more in the Big Sky Conference than that of the defensive backs. It's an area North Dakota continues to seek improvement in as they get ready for a successful 2016 campaign.
Rice under pressure, and Reyes tracks him down and drops him back at the 11.
Just fun getting better every day. New guys getting acclimated to our defense, and I'm sure the offense too, so it's just good to get better every day.
Cole Reyes and company got back to work this spring, both excited and motivated. A new coach, a new facility, and a few new faces all dotting the landscape.
Especially this time of year, you don't know what kind of weather you're going to get, anything from snow to rain to cold, but you come inside, you know exactly what you're going to get, you can get your work done.
This is my 3rd spring ball, and it's probably the best one so far, just based on the weather and stuff. Not having to worry about snow, cold, being able to know we're going to practice every day and have a nice place to compete.
That competition level spurred on by a need for depth at one of the most important positions in the conference.
We got a few guys who know what they can do. We're trying to evaluate with some of the other guys who may not get as much playing time last year, see where they fit in as we go into the fall, and then we'll add in our signees and see what they bring to the table. So we're just kind of setting the depth chart a little bit for fall, and then again, once fall comes and everybody's fight for position at that time too.
Get everybody on the field, we need everybody behind us to step up, so we need good depth.
We got a next man up mentality, and we believe in the guys that we have now, and if they do their jobs, I think we'll all be all right on defense.
Continuing our discussion on the defensive side of the football, we welcome in defensive coordinator Eric Schmidt. And Coach, with 9 of 11 starters coming back on your side of the football, there's certainly a lot of areas there of strength, but where do you ultimately see the strongest set of guys on that side of the football?
I think up front is where we feel the most confident right now. We got 14 guys in spring ball here in the D-line, and really all those guys are guys we feel like can contribute, so it'll be a battle for reps, a battle for travel squad, all that kind of stuff. It's the kind of competition we want, but really feel like a couple guys have made some strides there. We didn't lose a whole lot from there last year, and then to be able to add some pieces like Mason Bennett, Carter Wilson. We feel like Steve Greer's gotten better now. We pulled his red shirt last year, and probably our most improved guy up front is probably Tank Harris, which is something that we were hoping for. So he's really improved. So I said that would be probably the strength of our defense coming out of spring.
Coach, you lose Wurtel, really the quarterback of that defense. Who's the guy that takes that role now? Is it multiple guys? Is it one guy that really steps up? Who's going to be that leader on the defense?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head, Ryan. I think leadership is something that, Will was a guy that he said some things, but he led. He was the same guy every day, and I think he brought guys to a different level. He cleaned a lot of things up in there that weren't necessarily fit upright, and that kind of stuff. So it's a concern for us. I think we have some guys that, one thing, last year with Taj Rich going down, we were forced into playing some other guys into action, and guys like Dylan Bacher and Connor O'Brien. Those guys got a ton of reps for us last year. So I see it going a little bit more by committee. We think that we have some guys in there that are young guys that can be good players. We have to keep building their confidence and just keep throwing them out there and giving them more reps. But there'll be 5 guys in there, I think, that'll all vie for reps, and we'll do it a little bit more by committee than we did a year ago.
Everyone wants to know what do we got coming up because they don't get to see them. All they do is practice. So a couple names of freshmen that they're going to hear about next fall and that you're counting on to contribute.
I mean, guys that we, if we played a game tomorrow, Kelly, you'd hear names like Mason Bennett would be a guy we feel that, redshirt freshman from Winnipeg, he brings something to us as far as rushing the passer. We think Carter Wilson is much in the same boat. Mason might be a little bit ahead of him at this point in the game, but both those guys we feel are really good players. And even Carl Engwall down there is a guy that, from a year ago was highly recruited, and we felt like, hey, this kid can come in and play some snaps for us.
Coach, thanks so much for your time. We wish you the best of luck on the upcoming season.
Thanks a lot.
Stay with us here. We're back with head coach Bubba Schweigert next.
The 2016 UND Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RydellCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. It's our time to sit down with the head coach, Bubba Schweigert. Coach, thanks so much for taking some of your time here. As the guys are working hard behind us, we're enjoying the fruits of the labor of the High Performance Center today.
We sure are. It's excellent option to have this today when we don't have great weather outside, so we can have our spring game under good conditions, and really it's another day of practice for us. We want to evaluate and we want to take a step forward in the right direction.
Coach, spring ball is so important. What kind of questions did you get answered this spring?
Well, I think we had to solidify our quarterback situation as far as the backup player. We know Keaton's our number 1 at this time, and we worked Ryan and Brad, gave them a lot of reps throughout spring. Same thing, developing depth at the running back position. And then there's just so many positions on defense, linebacker, looking for that next guy to replace Will Rattel and some of those players, and then a lot of young guys getting reps that it's really important today.
Now, Coach, you've had some injuries and you had some losses at certain positions. Now, are you guys looking as you head into the summer? Are you still looking for help at some of those positions?
Well, we're always going to try to improve our football team, and one of the ways you do it is recruit, and we feel that recruiting is done year-round, and we'll have an opportunity to bring certain individuals in, but we got to find the right fit. You know, we feel like we've got a good nucleus in our program right now, but to add talent to it and add some depth or even a difference maker would be the right thing to do, we feel, at this time.
You're tasked with finding a new element on special teams, specifically the punter position. How do you evaluate that position right now, and where do you go from here?
Well, we took a good hard look at it in the springtime here, and that was one thing that we didn't get to work on a whole lot inside, so our specialists did a lot of work outside during that practice time. And Jacob Meeks right now would punt for us. He transferred in from Mississippi Junior College, and we're happy with the progress he's making, and we will challenge him to keep continuing. And that's one of the positions we would always look to improve our football team if we can find the right guy that could come in and help us at that position.
You know, Coach, one more, going back to Brad Heidelbaugh, what kind of progress has he made this spring, too? What kind of steps has he made?
Well, this is the first time he really got to work with the offense. And, you know, in the fall camp, he worked for a few weeks, and then we had to get Keaton ready, and we had to get Ryan ready and give Joe some reps in the fall. And Brad didn't really get an opportunity to run the offense. We really like his mind. He's very sharp, and he loves football and studies the game hard, and his feet improved much in the winter season. You know, having this facility, he was able to come in and throw one-on-one routes with receivers, even some, you know, time alone with Keaton just to work on his feet and footwork, which is so important in throwing the ball.
You pointed to punter earlier as a position that you're always looking to upgrade. Is there any other positions you can name for us that you guys are saying, hey, this and this is what we're going to focus on this summer, or is it a team-wide thing, or where are you guys at with that, leading back to my last question for you?
We always think we can get better in the secondary. You know, we'd always look for a guy that can help us there. Offensive line, we need depth, and a guy to really challenge our guys for playing time. You know, receiver, we would look at that area too. So there's about 4 or 5 positions that are really priority positions, but I will always emphasize we need to find the right guy that's a good fit for our program.
Coach, we thank you for your time. We'll let you get back with your group and keep working on things as you close out spring ball, and best of luck in the 2016 campaign.
Thank you very much, and thanks Midco for doing this today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, and stay with us here on the North Dakota Spring Football Special. We're not done yet. We project ahead when we come back.
The 2016 UND Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RydellCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back as North Dakota's spring football season comes to a close. Guys, it's 15 practices. You have to be very efficient to establish growth during this time together. Where do you guys feel like North Dakota has improved the most throughout spring ball?
Well, I think defensively, defensive line, they figured out they've got about 12 guys that can play and play really well. I like the outside linebacker position too. Juwan Johnson made that move last year. I think this year he's finally feeling more comfortable with that outside linebacker spot. You know, Distrob's solid, Labatt's solid. You know, you got those 3 guys that can play, you know, multiple positions or multiple spots for them. I think that's a very solid spot. Safety's still a question. That secondary is still a question mark for them. But I think, you know, there's guys that can step up in that spot too.
Kelly?
Yeah, offensively, guys, I think you know, Brad Heidelbaugh at quarterback, the backup quarterback, as we saw last year, he's one play away, and Heidelbaugh has to take steps. Right now he's fighting Ryan Bartles for the number 2 spot. Bartles has the experience. Heidelbaugh needs to get it, and I think he has gotten better, but there's still work to do. He's still a freshman. Secondly, the wide receivers. Clive Georges, Alex Reed, both those guys, they're the big playmakers. They're the smaller guys. They want to get it to them in space. They want to make moves. Everyone who saw the Montana State game last year saw what Clive Georges can do. They threw him a 5-yard stick route. He went 22 yards, I believe, for a touchdown. All right, that's what they need more of, and I think those guys, those 2 have had nice springs, and they can count on those guys. They know what they got with Luke Stanley. You know, Luke Stanley, he's the big body. So he brings it every game. He's solid. They know what they got there. I like that position. And another thing that hasn't been talked about much is Kyle Norberg. Kyle Norberg moved to fullback now. He was the pounded up the middle running back, try to get the first down. He had transitioned from linebacker. Now he's at fullback, and that'll be interesting because he brings a big body, but he brings more athleticism to where he could still get the ball at fullback or go out in the flat. So I think those are all little kinks that they put in the system, try to make it better. And yeah, they definitely, I think the offense definitely did improve this spring.
Well, and as we project forward, looking at the schedule this fall, opening up with 2 on the road against Stony Brook and Bowling Green, then coming home for the home opener against South Dakota. Then it's the conference play from there. And what stands out to the schedule here, guys?
Well, like you said, I think that schedule for North Dakota is very favorable. You know, games that they feel comfortable going in. It should be a very, very fun year.
No Montana, no Eastern Washington, and no byes throughout the season. They're going to stay in a rhythm.
Oh, that's big. Well, you saw with the secondary last year, the passing teams gave them trouble. And when you look at the schedule this year, you got South Dakota, Pauley, Northern Arizona, Weber. Those are run teams. Now, Northern Arizona moved a little bit more to the pass, but Southern Utah, they like to run it. UND does well against run-first teams, and that's all they got on there at home. So those ones, you got to win the home games. They start out on the road at Stony Brook, run-first team. That's perfect for UND. Bowling Green, there's your X factor. It's the FBS game, and they like to run a play every 15 seconds. So we're going to find out real quick how good the secondary is next year.
Absolutely. It all gets underway Thursday, September 1st against Stony Brook. Fall camp will begin about a month prior to that. We thank you for watching Midco Sports Network's North Dakota Spring Football Special. We'll see you in the fall, everybody.